Do you think that switch is going to continue, or does 2017 bring something new?
Yeah, I think it is going to continue in certain areas, because in Japan, I think the statistic is that they're something like 75–80% passive, and we're only really 30-odd% in the US. So theoretically, you could go to that sort of level. But I think one of the things that QE has done has meant that everything goes up at once. So you're as well just to own the index. I think as we see a reversal of that, I think we should get back to more stock picking, and active should come through, which it's had a tough time over the last 7–8 years.
Why? Why does Japan at 70%?
Because I don't know quite, but it is at 70-odd%. I suppose fees, they haven't done that well. They tended to underperform as well. So I suppose the same sort of issues. Oddly enough, we Aberdeen do quite well in Japan because it's quite an inefficient market. So inefficient markets are where you want to be in terms of active, whereas obviously US large cap, it's not that. It's more efficient, which is why, of course, it lends itself to this. But I do think stock picking in mid cap and small cap in the US is also a great area to be.
Obviously, depending the strategy that you choose also depends on what the market environment is. And you mentioned QE and the fact that it's kind of lifted many boats, if not all boats. What about this year? Because I can pinpoint a number of things. The impact of Donald Trump, to some degree, divergent monetary policy now with the Fed raising rates. There's reasons to perhaps look at 2017 and go, hey, you know what? I'd actually like a guy that's making some decisions here as opposed to a passive investment. Oliver?
Yeah, I think the active industry just needs to prove its value, number one. And second, what we're certainly going to see is more volatile income for the fund firms. Because if people are honoring, and our clients are honoring active performance, they also want to have us have more skin in the game. So there will be more variability in the fees that they will pay, and we'll have to deal with that. But you look at PIMCO, and you will see that soon. People said, when interest rates go up, you cannot outperform. It's just not true. And the world has to be in fixed income. Don't forget, we cannot abandon fixed rate liabilities. So it's too simple to say that there's the end of active management and everything is going to be passive. It's going to be a great year to prove our value.
But there are a lot of bad managers out there. Yeah?
I don't know where they are.
No, they're all good.
But look,
personally,
I think one of the things that we saw shift, and actually it predates Trump, which is why I think you can put a little bit too much on the Trump factor, because the shift actually started in the middle of last year. What you saw is, as the rhetoric from, in particular, Janet Yellen, but not just Janet Yellen, started to move towards more about fiscal stimulation and fiscal intervention, you really saw from the middle of the year onwards a change in the tone of the market. And you saw the stocks that were effectively bond market proxies, sort of the stable growth, stable dividend stocks, started to underperform after a long period where they were being bought as bond market proxies because, frankly, the bond market didn't provide what it has historically done, which is income. Just wasn't enough income in the bond market. And you saw that shift in tone back towards a bit more value orientation, a bit more fundamentals in terms of what's actually going on in the stocks. And I think, as we look into 2017, I think that's likely to continue. I don't see that this 5, 6, 7 year pattern that we've had favouring one segment of the market over and above all others, I don't think that's going to reverse itself in just a matter of a few months. I think this is something that we'll see all the way through 2017.
Some form of normalisation, dare I say it?
Well, I think it will companies, stocks that have a story that is more than simplistically stability of earnings, stability of dividend in particular, will get a little bit of a better reception from a market that is looking for fresh ideas rather than simply just make sure you pay the dividend because I can't get the income anywhere else, which is a little bit the territory we've been on for the last few years.
Oliver, you agree?
Absolutely agree.